Hello and welcome back to Rage Gaming and more Diablo 4. Today we're talking Uber Uniques, the insane items that basically didn't exist, but now they finally do in Season 2, because we now have special target bosses that we can face throughout the endgame, and at the top you have Duriel, who constantly drops uniques when you kill him. In this video, I'm going to cover how to best farm the Uber Uniques then, let alone a bunch of the great uniques that you'll want as part of that. We'll have how it all works, and how to do it as fast as possible, and more. So, how do you maximize your Uber Unique chances? Well, as I said, it's all tied to Duriel as the best source of the Ubers, and a variety of the uniques. Duriel is the new level 100 poison-based boss fight, and you'll find him in his dungeon of the Gaping Crevasse at the bottom left of the map. To summon Duriel, you'll need to use 2 Shards of Agony and 2 Mucus Slick Eggs, which are found via 2 other target boss fights. Therefore, maximizing your Uber Unique chances is all about farming Duriel as consistently and as effectively as you can, and a big part of that is simply accessing the fight regularly. To do every step I'm about to explain, even with all the tips to make it faster, it is ideally and best done in a group of 4 players. You simply get more chances at getting an Uber Unique and so on, and obviously as a group it's all just done faster. However, be aware that only the person that actually summoned the target boss will actually get the summon materials for Duriel upon kill, so you do have to be careful that the people you take to your groups don't pick up the mats and then leave before doing Duriel with you. So how do we actually reach the Duriel summon? You'll need to kill 2 of the target bosses to get their Duriel summoning materials. These 2 bosses are Varshan, the final boss of Season 1 story, and the new boss in Season 2, Grigoire. So Varshan drops his eggs, you need 2 of them, and Grigoire drops his shards, of which you'll also need 2 of those. You can take that to the Gaping Crevasse and summon Duriel. Now allegedly, you can kill either Varshan or Grigoire and receive multiple of these summoning materials, but I've never seen that myself. Maybe you'll have more luck than me. Let's begin with Grigoire though, and how to effectively farm him. You're going to need 5 living steel to summon Grigoire, and you can find him in this dungeon here, the Hall of the Penitent, once you have the 5 living steel. But to get living steel, you'll need to open steel chests, which are found in the Helltide events. We need a total of 300 cinders to open 1 steel chest, which usually results in 3 living steel. That means on average, you'll need 600 cinders to summon 1 Grigoire, and for our purposes to farm and face Duriel, that actually means you're going to need 1,200 cinders to kill 2 of Grigoire for his shards, since we need 2 of those to actually summon Duriel. To farm Helltides, it's actually a lot easier and faster than it used to be though. This helps us overcome that 5 living steel we need, at least quicker if they hadn't done this. Before, you'd probably just open a tracker like helltides.com and have a look where the events are, and then just move between event and event, farming cinders that way. Now, with the greatly improved mob density of the zone, you could actually just walk to the events rather than sprinting between them, just killing packs of enemies on the way. Ideally, you target the biggest, densest packs of mobs to kill, and then quickly grab multiple packs at once while buffed up with, say, an ultimate. When you kill that many enemies in these bursts, you can easily get 20, 30, 40 cinders in a triple mob pack clear if you're lucky, especially if you're collecting things on the way, like opening the chests, looting the plants, and especially important, of course, still looting every screaming hell vein you see. All of that will provide a lot of extra cinders while you're just walking to the next event. On average, while solo, it takes me about 15 minutes to collect 600 cinders through this simple strategy, which results, of course, in 2 steel chests per Helltide more than comfortably. If you were to do that in a group, it'd all just go much quicker. However, you can indeed open more steel chests per Helltide, because just like before with mystery chests, the chests refresh and reset on an hour turnover. So if your Helltide has time left on it, and say the hour is about to turn from 5:59 to 6, or any hour turnover or whatever, the chests reset, they spawn in new locations, and that means you can open more. Ideally then, you'd show up and open 2 steel chests, and then eventually the hour would turn over after that, where you would now have 2 more steel chests to open up in 1 event. That could get you 2 of the summons, and this part of the Duriel summon farm would be done in just 1 Helltide, which would be great. Apparently you can even open steel chests and get more than 3 living steels, but that's never happened for me either. Be aware, there is a bug with the steel chests that causes them to sometimes be invisible. Isn't that fun? To fix that, you need to teleport away to a town or a dungeon or something and come back, which I had to do multiple times before it actually sort of refreshed the area, and then the invisible steel chest actually appeared. So looking up on one of those trackers where the chests actually are means you're aware if it's invisible, so that's helpful, I guess. Moving on though, what about the other Duriel summoning materials? These are the Mucus slick eggs dropped by Varshan, and are thankfully much more consistent to get your hands on, since the way you get these parts is more consistently available than a Helltide. You need to obtain one of these 4 body parts each, so you need at least 1 trembling hand, at least 1 gurgling head, at least 1 malignant heart, and at least 1 blackened femur, the bone. When you have one of these 4 each, you can do 1 summon of Varshan. These are gained best by handing in a completed Tree of Whispers. Whispers are always available somewhere, and you just need to do enough of them to fill the current progress to 10 before you can go to the tree again and hand that in. When you do, you pick one of the caches, and when you open that cache, you get multiple body parts for the summon. To maximize your time, you want to do Whispers intentionally. I would recommend you open your map and have a look at each of the zones. Here, for example, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 Whispers in one location. So we would run around completing these in the same zone as effectively and as efficiently as possible, batching them up and doing them at the same time if you can. Alternatively to that, and better ideally, would be to do a blood harvest, because as you can see, 3 of these Whispers are here, and it's the same 3 every time with slight changes. You always have like a target certain enemies and kill them mission, and then you always have kill 2 blood seekers. The other mission is either save 5 villagers like it is here, or destroy 5 structures. The fastest way to complete this is actually go to the blood harvest symbol itself. If you do that, you'll find a special summon event where you need to spend 50 blood lures on each pedestal, meaning 150 blood lures total. That's quite a lot if you're doing it on your own, but there's usually someone there waiting around for someone to start the event too. So on average, at least you'll save 50, or when you just go to the zone, it might already be active. This event spawns tons of enemies, such as the ones you need to kill en masse, and it'll spawn multiple Bloodseekers, and it provides a ton of legendary drops too. The ideal scenario is actually to come do a blood harvest while there's a normal selection of Whispers in the area. This can result into 6 to 9 Whispers in one little area that you're batching and doing all at once. That's the most efficient way that I've found to do your Whispers so that you can get your Varshan parts as fast as possible. Obviously that's not always an option, but you should always check when you log on, is there a blood harvest up? Does it have multiple Whispers to do? I can get some Varshan parts. Alternative to that is to come to a town where you have an alchemist. By speaking with the alchemist and going to the 3rd tab, you have the Refine Resources tab under summoning items. That's what we want. There's these body caches where you can gamble a piece of the body that you have and some crafting materials, and that'll generate a cache. In that cache is any of the body parts. So in this case, I have 3 heads and 3 hands and 5 of the bones. So I would gamble 1 bone and maybe get some of the other body parts. Alternative to that is you can use Malignant Hearts to just pick what you want. Say that I don't have any of these bones, I could spend 1 heart and just generate a bone. So this really helps when you have an imbalance of different body parts. Once you've got at least one of all 4 body parts, we can go summon Varshan by entering the Malignant tunnel that is right next to the Whispering Tree hand-in location. But finally, after you've killed both of the bosses and have 2 shards and 2 eggs, you can go face Duriel. Duriel is strong, the strongest of these new bosses. He's level 100 and deals an insane amount of poison-based damage. When you kill him, you're seemingly going to get a unique every time, and of course that means there's a chance the unique could be an Uber. The odds are much better in this season. Apparently we'll all know someone who has one, compared to them basically not existing before. So to fight Duriel, here's some quick tips. You're going to want poison resistance elixirs, which will increase your poison resistance by 10%. This is because you're going to need a poison resistance of 70% as a bare minimum, because the poison damage he deals is so dangerous. With this amount of resistance, you can actually survive some of his worst attacks, which makes the fight a lot more manageable. There's stronger versions of poison resistance or other element resistances you can make too. You can get up to 30% more poison resistance or a target resistance that you need, which is more relevant than ever in Season 2. Now during the fight, my advice is to try to always have him aiming towards a wall. This will have him run into the wall when he does that charge effect, which can be very important for different builds, such as the one I'm doing right now, where I'm dealing lots of shadow damage if he stays on the spot. So if he moves around too much, I lose a lot of DPS, so forcing him to run into a wall near where all my corpses are, that helps me a lot. Mechanically, he has a short stun window. I guess this is to reduce stun burst potential, so you gotta watch out for that, but mostly it's about 2 main scary attacks. Now one of them is a poison grab. He grabs someone and drags them into his belly, dealing massive poison damage, and in that you can't get out, so you just have to wait it out. The only way to survive, to my knowledge, is to drink tons of potions to actually tank the damage. There's a small wind-up where he sort of opens the belly and goes for it, so just try to dodge it. But in general, you should be moving around him in a circle so that his auto attacks are constantly turning and ideally missing you as a baseline. The other scary attack is the burrow. Twice in the fight, he just goes invincible, goes underground, and burrows down below. And then there's going to be a few burrow spots on the ground, which will destroy your health if he appears on that when you're standing on it. So to avoid that, just stand by a wall away from any of the spots whenever this happens, and you won't have to deal with it. But there you have it. That's how to summon Duriel, and the best details I know how to actually make that process smoother and faster. If you can, do this at least as 2 people compared to solo, since you get an extra summon for the same amount of effort if you did it all solo. As a 4-person team, start to finish, you'd have 4 summons compared to 1 as a solo player, which is pretty brutal. It's 4 times the amount of attempts to get what you're after. So if you're totally alone, I'd recommend, I don't know, joining some Discords, looking for Duriel groups if you're stuck. If you guys have any extra advice on how to make this process faster and better, then let us know in the comments. You might help someone. But for now, I've been Hollow, you've been you. Thanks for watching. See you next time.
Josh, Cotton, and Hollow with the videos, dropping the humor like a hammer on your tippy toes, bringing entertainment on a daily arrangement to take our insanity and turn it into entertainment. Yes, I said entertainment twice, to reiterate that it is nice to look into your faces on a mostly daily basis when you let us in your homes to make the whole world a stage. Goodbye.